What's up, sons? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have Chen with me, the founder of Alephium, and we are going to talk about a little bit of background history on Alephium, is what it is, and of course then going from there we're going to discuss some new network upgrades that are coming to it. Hopefully they'll be exciting. And without further ado, welcome to the channel, Chen. Thanks for stopping by today.
Thank you for having me. It's great pleasure to be here.
So what's your background? How did you get started in blockchain?
My background is from research. I studied my bachelor in mathematics, and then I came to Switzerland to do PhD research. My PhD topic was consensus algorithm. That was back in 2013, like before Bitcoin become popular, before consensus becomes a buzzword. So I was studying the consensus algorithm research, and I proposed the first linear time Byzantine consensus algorithm, asynchronous Byzantine consensus algorithm in 2015. And then I got my paper got discovered by Vitalik, and then they sent me an email to invite me to talk about my algorithm. That's how I get connected to blockchain space.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I started to follow the developments and research in the fields. In 2018, I decided to I have a new algorithm called BlockFlow that could provide a much better sharding algorithm than Ethereum 2. So I started to work in crypto in full time to work on my own project with the algorithm. So
And
that's
that when you started working on the algorithm, and then you decided to, what made you decide to start Alephium?
Yeah, so I started follow at the beginning I started follow the development of Ethereum, especially the sharding algorithm of Ethereum. They have a very complicated roadmap, and it took many years to develop, and I don't feel that's the right path. So I started thinking my own approach, and then I came up with a new algorithm called BlockFlow. I implement the prototype in my spare time, and then I feel confident about the algorithm. So in 2018, I decided to work in full time on the project to make it happen and make people can benefit from the new algorithm.
So as far as Alephium is concerned from the mining perspective, because this is primarily a mining channel, the algorithm that was chosen for the mining algorithm was Blake 3. I've done a little bit of research on the GitHub side of things. Were there modifications to that were for Alephium in general that implemented? How does that interact, I suppose, with BlockFlow? And where do you see a future of Blake 3 being adopted by other coins and chains in the future?
Yeah, so in the design of Alephium, we first we thought about should we go for ASIC resistance, or should we make it to be ASIC friendly? So after a lot of research, we decided that for the very long term, ASIC friendly is kind of the right choice for us, because we have multiple blockchains, and the miners need to mine on these chains in parallel. If the algorithm is memory kind of resistant or ASIC resistant, you're going to have multiple memory instances in the miner, and this is going to be a problem. So ASIC friendly is going to be much more lightweight and simple to implement in a sharded blockchain. So we first decided we have to go for this kind of ASIC friendly simple approach. And then regarding algorithm, we have basically two options. One is we design our own algorithm, and also another approach is just to choose a good hash algorithm that is proposed by professional cryptographers. So we think that the second approach makes much more sense, because it's not easy to design like a proper hash algorithm. And it happens that the Blake 3 hash algorithm is is quite a new hash algorithm, and
Right.
I know the author of the algorithm, so we can, if we have some technical details that we want to make sure we can talk to the author directly. So we choose that. That's how.
Okay, so
We
I actually have a couple questions because most of the time when I have people on, they point to wanting to have some sort of ASIC resistance built in, and in this particular case, it sounds like you're moving away from that. Do you worry about the decentralization portion of the mining when you are not ASIC resistant? So in the past, like we've seen with Bitcoin, where Bitmain was for the longest time the only manufacturer of Bitcoin miners, and it started to kind of centralize the mining power to that particular company. Do you think that that risk is now mitigated with more players in the game, or do you think that there's still a potential there for issues?
I think this is a very hot topic in the mining industry. My personal opinion is that it's really hard to be ASIC resistance. For example, like Monero, they have to hard fork constantly to make the algorithm to be really ASIC resistant, right? And also for Ethereum, I think the community, if they don't switch to PLAs, the community, they are actually working on a new hash algorithm to make it more ASIC resistance. There were some like miners, they can be more efficient than GPU, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for the long term, it's really hard to be ASIC resistance. And on the other hand, there are quite a few benefits of going ASIC friendly. In the early stage, I don't think this is a big problem, especially for young project like us.
Mm-hmm.
There are not really so many people mine, so there's no interest for people to develop the ASICs, right? And for the very long term, I think it definitely has some issues for miners to get the hardware. But once the market becomes more mature, I don't believe that's a problem. It has been proved by Bitcoin that actually that could work. On the other hand, actually ASIC friendly means that the miners, they are more committed to the network, right? Because they have the specialized hardware and they would like to grow with the network. It's a bit different with GPU miners because like miners, they constantly switch from one network to another network.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them may not really care about the growth of the ecosystem, right? They just see if it's profitable to mine on it. If it is, then they mine on this network, and then later they switch to another network. So yeah, I think economically, it seems like the ASIC miners is more kind of bound to the
There's
ecosystem. They
more
would,
loyalty there, essentially.
yeah, I
Right.
think.
That makes sense. That's kind of interesting. And then from the perspective of like a startup, right, in the early stages, if you aren't ASIC resistant, it does allow for the developers of the mining software, for example, like we've been seeing, to start to offer GPU miners options to increase the profitability of their rigs by basically having hashing on the core in the case of Alephium, while at the same time picking a memory hardened algorithm to utilize on the memory side of things. And so you almost get a little bit of added benefit there in the early stages. The next step, though, would be, I think, like the interim step typically between your GPU mining, as far as a coin that develops eventually into ASIC mining, right? What we usually see is CPU mining, then it goes into GPU mining, and then it bumps into FPGA mining. Have you seen any FPGAs on your network at this point, or any FPGA bit streams for, in particular, the Blake 3 algorithm?
Oh yes. Right now I think still majority of them are GPU, but there are some FPGA miners as well. Our algorithm is kind of not like the Bitcoin hash algorithm. It actually requires a little bit of memory. So
Okay.
it means the FPGA miners don't have a huge advantage over the GPU miners. So
Okay.
it kind of we accidentally found a good balance between ASIC and GPU mining algorithm.
Yeah, that does seem to be changing a little bit, though. Some of the newer FPGAs, they're still very hard to get a hold of, right? But they are starting to load a lot more of that HBM memory onto them. And so I think we'll start to see more adoption of a larger adoption of various algorithms moving to FPGAs. It's an interesting space. I just started doing some research on. So it seems like from a technical perspective, FPGAs have a lot of opportunity for developers, right? Because you can build those bit streams and really monetize them a lot heavier than you can the current like GPU miners, right? So I find it intriguing.
Yeah, technically it's very interesting, especially for optimizations. But like there are some problems. It's not easy to get FPGA nowadays, and also it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
So it takes time to get like huge adoption, I think.
Right. And I think I agree with you as far as that goes. So give me the top down, like high level. What is Alephium? What does it aim to solve? And I know you had talked about developing, of course, block flow, and that's going to be key here. That's going to be transaction speed to a certain extent, as well as scalability. So we're talking about essentially your version of sharding, but it will be proof of work from my understanding. Am I getting that correct? And then what are your thoughts as far as moving forward?
Yeah. Actually, the project has evolved quite a lot since from the very beginning. Like we started coding in 2018. Initially, we just want to make a sharded blockchain with based on proof of work and UTXO based on the block flow algorithm. And we managed to do that I think in 2019. And our sharding is very unique. It like the user experience is very pretty much the same as a single blockchain. If you want to transfer coins from one shard to another shard, you only need to do one transaction. While on the other sharded blockchain, you need to do at least 2 steps. So we are the first one to achieve that. But we are not only that. Because in 2019 and 2020, DeFi starts to really to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see the potential of building decentralized applications on the blockchain. And also we started to look into that. We are a new blockchain. We got a chance to learn from the others, and we managed to figure out that actually our UTX model is a perfect fit for decentralized application. First, UTXO is a very secure ledger model.
Mm-hmm.
Like UTXO is fully owned by the users. But on EVM, on Ethereum, the coins actually lives in the smart contracts. So actually, your coin is controlled by the smart contract. If there's a bug in the smart contracts, like the hackers, they may drain your wallets completely, right? So we see that UTXO model is a perfect fix, and our UTXO model is called a stateful UTXO model, which is a combination of the Bitcoin style UTXO model plus the account model. It means with our UTXO model, you can actually have the same programmability like Ethereum, and at the same time, you can have the security advantage of Bitcoin. So we start to build a completely different DeFi paradigm based on our stateful UTX model. And we built a new virtual machine. We built a new language in 2020. And it turns out to be very successful. We managed to complete the design of the virtual machine, implement it, and also we built some prototype DeFi like DEX, like Bridge, to prove that actually the model is very powerful. So yeah, and then we also propose a new proof of work algorithm called proof of less work to reduce the energy consumption of the classical proof of work algorithm. That was one of the main I think one of the main issue that people complain a lot about the mining, right? So I think in summary, we can say that the core like technical selling point of Alephium is first is the unique sharding algorithm that can supports cross-shard transaction in a single step. The second one is the stateful UTXO model that combines the Bitcoin UTXO plus the account model, make it to be very secure, and at the same time is very expressive to build decentralized applications. And the last highlight is the proof of less work that can make the mining more efficient in terms of energy consumption, I think.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And we have seen quite a few projects obviously start to adopt the UTXO model. I believe there's like Ergo, for example, from the proof of work space, as well as I think even, I mean, there's been quite a few, right? So I won't go into diving into all of them. That being said, I mean, you set it apart a little bit here with the scalability and, of course, the proof of less work that you're talking about. I do see some other projects that seem to be going down similar paths from that perspective. For example, would be Caspa, I think, most recently, right? Where they're kind of on this similar path as far as y'all with the dual mining capability and open to ASICs and FPGA. I think FPGA is getting adopted over on their end a lot quicker right now. So like you mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of an advantage with the Alephium and GPU miners there because of some of the memory usage. I know you wanted to come on to talk about kind of the future of Alephium. So what changes are being made? What big upgrades are there coming down the pipeline right now?
I think for us, the main goal of the blockchain is really to support massive adoption of blockchain. That's why we work on sharding algorithm, because it can have higher throughput, right? If we want blockchain to gain a lot of adoption, or we definitely need higher throughputs. That's our like kind of starting point. But right now the problem is crypto still, I think, is kind of still a niche market. Not really so many people using it. There are a lot of speculation, but still we are still very, very early. So one of the mission, I think, is for us is to increase the adoption by building useful applications. We focus on a lot of user experience, dev experience. And for example, actually, UTXO model is quite good for user experience when it comes to wallet, for example. If you are familiar with Ethereum, for example, like it's actually pretty challenging to monitor the balance of the accounts, because account model, you like different account, different smart contracts that have different implementation, and it's very hard to track the balances of different tokens. But with the UTXO model, you can easily track it with new transactions, and this can make the wallet much more accessible for users, and also make it more secure, because the wallet, they can just monitoring all the changes, balance changes much easier. So what I believe that's what we're doing right now. It's going to make the bar of crypto to be much lower, and to make it much easier to onboard new users, and also onboard new devs, because our virtual machine and our stateful UTXO is much more secure than the EVM model. It's actually a bit like weird that Bitcoin has so many developers. They have worked on the ecosystem for so many years, but still is so kind of unsecure that like sometimes users, they click on a link, a phishing link, and then they lose all of the assets in the wallet. And this is totally, in my opinion, is like kind of unacceptable if we want really to make crypto to become widely used by the world, right?
So what changed? So, what changes are you making to solve this problem? I know you were talking about those earlier. I know you got the UTXO model and so on. What
Yeah.
is not implemented yet that you were looking at implementing?
I think we have been working very hard in the past 2 years. Right now, we are pretty ready, and we're going to have a network upgrades I think in 1 month. Right now, the code is ready. All of the important features to the virtual machine and to the programming language is ready. So next month we're gonna launch it. Then we're going to build a lot of applications together with the community. So one of the big topic is to building the apps. As a core team, what we want to focus on is always the infrastructure, the SDK, the wallets, the bridges. Yeah, the bridges we have been working on it for like more than 1 year, I think. And it's kind of very ready. We just need to have the network upgrades activated, and then we can deploy it to the network, and then we are going to connect to Ethereum and in the future also other blockchains.
Okay.
We can bring some liquidity and also other like stable coin, even NFT to our blockchain, and then our ecosystem can really start to grow. And also, we are still very early project and a small project. The community is very small, so one of the big focus in the future would be community development. We're going to increase the projects, promote the project to get more people join the community, get more devs to build on it, etc. Yeah. So it's going to be very exciting, and we think we are very ready now, like compared to 1 year ago.
Perfect. So, as far as the VM goes and all of that sort of thing, what is the programming language at this point?
We have a new programming language called RAF. Is we build the language kind of borrowing the ideas from Rust and also Scala, because we implement our full node in Scala. The main motivation is to make the language very secure and with good practice, because right now, like if you follow the Ethereum ecosystem, actually, like we see a lot of hackers happen in the space. Every week we can see people lose money because of their bugs in the smart contract. But with our new language, a lot of these bugs, they will not be possible by default. And also our language is designed to work with the UTXO model. So we can get all of the like security benefits of UTXO model by default. So it's going to, with the new language, the bar of building the apps is going to be much lower. So it means developers, they can get started in with a much lower cost. Like right now on EVM, if you want to build a serious apps, you need to pay a lot of money to get your code audited. But with Alephium, with RAF, because the security is by default is going to be much higher. So the cost for auditing, the cost for like the tools is going to be much lower in general. So yeah, that's a big part of our ecosystem.
So because you're not utilizing the same programming language as Ethereum, is it more difficult for developers to move from EVM and Solidity over, do you think, or do you think it'll be pretty seamless?
I would say it's not, because RAF is a DSL, is a domain-specific language. So we designed it as a simple language to just work with smart contracts on our blockchain. It's very, very simple. Like I simplified the version of Rust, I would say. On the other hand, I think it's kind of like if we compare Rust with Solidity, I would say is kind of like Rust with C++. C++ is a lot of developers work with C++, but it's actually a very painful to work with it. So it's kind of like a good experience to shift from C++ to Rust. So I think it's going to be the same for the developers to shift from Solidity to RAW. It's just like make your life easier.
Yeah.
I would say.
So for the mining algorithm, I assume then you guys implemented the Rust implementation of Blake 3 and not the C implementation.
So in our code, the breakthrough is actually implemented in Java, but for miners they implement it in C. I think like some of the miners they even implement this. They implement these in assembly language probably.
Okay. Well, I saw that I think Blake 3 supports Rust, so I was curious on that, how you guys decided to go about it. Cool. Interesting. Moving on from there, now I'm kind of thinking about I had a few questions and now I kind of blanked out there for a second. So the big question, of course, why not go proof of stake?
So in my opinion, like proof of stake is not really the solution for large scale decentralized blockchain. First, the cost to design and implement proof of stake is really not trivial. It's much more complicated algorithm, and there's no like perfect solution to it. We have seen so many different blockchains with different kind of proof of stake design. They have different trade-offs, but I don't see a kind of a perfect one. And also, the cost to run the proof of stake algorithm is not trivial as well. If you see like compare proof of work with proof of staking blockchains, actually the requirement to run a full node is much higher with proof of staking, because you have to maintain all of the validators on the blockchain, and you need to have the extra communication overhead because you need to constantly talk to the validators to make sure that they are online, right? So technique, I think, is much more complicated and is still pretty new because it's not really tested by time. And proof of work has been tested by time for more than 10 years with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, right? So that's kind of the general thing, general point. But for Alephium, we have a very special reason that we have to go with proof of work is because our sharding algorithm is based on proof of work. Our sharding algorithm don't have a beacon chain like Ethereum. Ethereum, they have a roadmap for sharding. They have a beacon chain that is kind of the main chain of the blockchain, and all of the other blockchains, they have to go through this main chain to talk with others. And this is problematic because the main chain might become the bottleneck in the future, because all the other blockchains, they have to talk with this main blockchain. But in our designs, our sharding algorithm is more kind of decentralized. All of the blockchains, they are equal to each other, and we don't want to kind of manage the validators on the blockchain. So we have to go with proof of work, and also proof of work is much more lightweight. It means our sharding algorithm actually has a much lower overhead than the sharding algorithm proposed by Ethereum. So proof of work is a huge kind of a big advantage for us to implement the sharding algorithm. Yeah.
Right, and that's because, just to like clarify, if I understand this correct, in the form that you have it on Ethereum, for example, with the beacon chain, the reason it's built like that is because all of the validation of the transactions have to ping back through the beacon chain to get solved, correct?
Right now, actually, this part is not very clear because the roadmap is not complete yet. They constantly change it. At some point, one of the design for them is if you want to transfer something from one shard to another shard, you have to go through the beacon chain. Basically, you make a transaction, you submit your state to the beacon chain, and then beacon chain kind of synchronize across different blockchains. And then the other ends of the other shard, they can kind of monitor the state of the beacon chain, and then they'll receive the transfer from the original blockchain.
Right, which is
So
why they're trying to get, I guess, they're putting a lot of focus on roll-ups, right now, like that, and that's probably why, because you need those roll-ups to speed it up. That's interesting. So, another big question: AI has been on the top of everybody's minds recently. How do you see that impacting cryptocurrency in the future, specifically different chains, blockchain development, potentially, obviously, dApps development, that sort of stuff? Do you think that something like ChatGPT is going to play a big role in kind of accelerating the adoption of decentralized applications on the blockchain?
I think AI in general is very good for the society and for the world, because they can make the information much more accessible for normal users. With ChatGPT, I can have kind of a very um, kind of very knowledgeable assistants, right? uh, so I think it's going to be very accelerate the whole world. In terms of crypto, I think it can help quite a lot in, like, for example, education. Uh, like if people have questions about crypto, they can easily ask we ask ChatGPT, and also it's going to be very helpful for promotion, for content generation. Actually, we use it to generate some of our documents, and it works greatly.
Yeah.
Uh, in terms of engineering, I think it's still too early to be used in serious stuff, because like cryptocurrency is, you write programs to manage money, right? And you cannot really have any bugs in the code. So ChatGPT, AI in general is still too early for that. In general, I think for the very long term, they can use to assist people to write code, like kind of like a double checking everything. If they manage to find some bugs, it's great. If they don't find any bugs, that's expected. So it's going to be just a assistant. I don't believe that they can really replace engineers or replace programmers
Yeah.
for serious stuff.
I would see it kind of like I see like it's just the next evolution of Google, right? The capabilities will still be dependent on the input, meaning like the best knowledge you can have when utilizing AI is going to be the knowledge or the ability of what to input to get the correct answer, right?
Yeah, but the
Um,
bar is much lower now with
yeah.
ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
With Google, it's a bit hard sometimes to find the useful information, but with ChatGPT, it's going to be, but not, yeah. Sometimes the answer is not really meaningful, but some cases is really they can do a great job.
So when are the network upgrades coming? You said next month sometime?
Yeah, it's planned next month. Actually, like in January, we thought that we're ready, but then we kind of came up with two new features, very important features. One is to optimize the contract storage. A second one is to add Schnorr signature, so that we can have good interoperability with Bitcoin. We can also support NOST protocol, which is quite popular nowadays.
The Noster? Is that what you're
Yeah, the
saying?
not
Okay.
several
Perfect. Awesome.
decentralized social network.
Yep, I have mine spun up. I haven't quite used it enough yet, but it's definitely game changing for sure. Everything that's going on with that, so I'm
I feel
very
I'm very
excited.
excited about it. And with the upgrade, we're going to have, we can integrate the protocol seamlessly with the once the network upgrade is activated.
Perfect. So, where can people find you as far as if they wanted to find out more about Alephium, maybe get in contact with yourself? What do you have? Do you have Discords, Twitter? Of course, there is the main website as well.
Yeah, Discord and the Telegram are the two main places right now. You can easily find them on our website. And I kind of very active in the development channels. So if you are developers, really, I welcome you to join the community. We are still early, but we are very ready um, to kick started with the upgrades with the app development. So yeah, it's going to be exciting this year.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me today, Chan. And everybody else, thanks for watching today. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe down below. Check the description for all the links to get in contact and find out more about Alephium. And I'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.